Welcome to Meadowsweet Farm. Today is the very first day of September, and our summer is coming to a close. You can really feel the changes, even though we've had some really scorching hot days with super high humidity. You can feel that things are beginning to move into autumn. It gets darker earlier, and it just feels a little different. Early this morning, there were a flock of wild turkeys in the front yard. I'm really glad that Gabe wasn't out there. They wouldn't have been there for very long. My hydrangea bushes and my hydrangea trees are in absolute full bloom. And today, I am going to make a hydrangea wreath, and I will share that process with you. So grab your favorite beverage and sit back and relax, and I'll show you how I make a hydrangea wreath. Now, the first thing you need whenever you're going to make a hydrangea wreath is hydrangeas, and also chickens in the hydrangea bush. Now, these are, I'm not sure what variety they are, but they're not the cone-shaped ones. I do have two trees that have the cone-shaped ones on them, and the one tree doesn't have enough. I really prefer the cone-shaped ones to these round ones, but I thought just for a few practices, I would give these a try. Now, we've had a lot of scorching days, and you can see that some of the petals actually have been burned from the sun. I also have been watching a YouTube channel, and the gal is from Poland. Her name's Marta, and she gives a wonderful tutorial on how to take care of the hydrangeas and get the biggest blooms and have the fullest bushes from the hydrangeas. So I watched that video. I learned a lot of great tips, and I will put the link to her videos below because she has an awful lot of really great gardening tips. So I'm gonna just select a whole bunch of hydrangeas, and I'll meet you back over in the garden. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our beautiful pot of hydrangeas, and as you'll see, I'll get in here a little closer, you can see that, there's some brown in there, but I've got a couple solutions that I think might remedy that. I personally don't mind that because that's the color that they dry, but I've got a couple ideas I think might eliminate that if you don't have a whole lot of hydrangeas. So, of course, oops, pardon the cameraman's hands. So the other thing that we need is we need a wreath base, and I will share the link. I think it's called Edward's Nursery, and I'm not sure where they're based out of, but this is what they recommended. This is a straw wreath. I got this at Michael's, or I'm sorry, I got this at Hobby Lobby. They're only about $4, and this is the 18-inch size. You can get a smaller size, I think a 10-inch. So I got the larger size, and you want to keep the plastic on, mainly because the straw comes out of this like crazy. So it's better to keep it's definitely better to keep the plastic on it, the plastic covering. Okay, so the other thing that you're going to need are these wire pins. And again, I got these at Hobby Lobby. You can get them probably anywhere where they have, flower arrangements and dried wreaths like this. Ribbon, and I thought this was a more solid ribbon, and it's I made another wreath earlier today just to get my bearings, and I put this on. I'll show you the picture now. And I don't like it. And I posted a thing on Facebook, and a friend of mine said maybe a different color and maybe a little bit wider ribbon. So this is, let's see. This is 7/8 inch. So I probably need a little bit wider than that. And then the other thing that you're gonna need is some floral wire. And you're gonna have to have some hardy fingers, because we'll be pushing these pins into the wreath. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to start with some large hydrangeas, and we're going to lay them and attach them with these pins on the very top of the wreath. Now, when I first did this, one thing I do want to mention is that you want to have fresh hydrangeas. You don't want to have the dried ones, because you're doing a lot of manipulating and moving, and these things crumble. So when they're dry, they're very, very brittle, and the leaves start to come off with just a tiny little touch. I heard that you can spray them with some extra hold hairspray, and that seems to do the trick. So I have sprayed my hydrangeas in the past, and maybe I'm just not using the right hairspray, because it doesn't really seem to hold once they start to dry. But these wreaths should last you at least 3 or 4 years if you take care of them. I wouldn't put them outside where they're going to be exposed to the elements. If they're underneath a porch roof, I think that would be fine. And then certainly in your house, where if it's on a door where it's not going to get bumped or a lot of traffic. Okay, so let's start by getting a hydrangea, and these are awfully big. So what I like to do, that's a really big one, that's a pretty one. What I like to do is cut them into smaller blossoms. Okay. Tag off first, that would be helpful. So, and yeah, this Hobby Lobby straw wreath, and it's $4.49. Okay. So putting them in water is nice too, to keep them fairly fresh. Let's see, you don't really need much of a stem. And let's take maybe this bunch. Okay, so now that actually broke up into a couple different ones. So you take your and when you are laying them on the top, you want to make sure that you start in one direction and you keep going around in the same direction. I actually got confused towards the end when I was filling in, and I couldn't remember which direction I was going. Now, when you're placing the pins, you want to make sure that you find the upper joint of the blossom. And I'll show you. See, there's kind of a little V here. You don't want to attach them at the very end of the stem because they will pull out. So if they have something that they can grab onto, it just makes it a little better. Now this one doesn't, so that could easily pull out. And when these stems dry, of course, you know, it makes it a greater chance for them to pull out. But I might just add a little bit of reinforcement there. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're just going to keep going in this direction on the top and just layer the top part of the wreath with your hydrangea blossoms. And it's kind of fun because the way that they look like little flower umbrellas. The way that they grow, you can kind of form it to like kind of the way the wreath is formed. So I'm trying not to make a mess. I did this in my house, the first one, and I've got these little petals everywhere. Okay, so you can see in here, there's that little join. Let me see if I can get closer. Okay, so, and if there's a little bare spot, you can always fill in with a smaller blossom. So I'll add this one on the top, tuck in those little and those little guys are hard to get on sometimes. So you just have to be patient. So you're just going to work your way around the whole perimeter of the wreath and fill it all up with your hydrangea blossoms. Okay, so I'll keep working, and then when I'm finished, I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I'll have to fill in a little bit here. Oops, you can't see that. Fill in a little bit here, but I did put the hydrangea blossoms all around the outer part of the wreath. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to start to fill in, and we're going to put smaller hydrangea blossoms on the inside. And we're going to do exactly like we did on the outside, but we'll just use smaller blossoms. So the one thing I wanted to just remind you, when you're putting these, and you want to follow that same, you want to follow the same contour, but when you're putting these in this pin, you want to make sure that it goes directly into the wreath, and you don't want to have it go in sideways and then it sticks out the other side. So you want to make sure that you're getting it so that it goes straight into the straw wreath. Okay, well, I am going to keep moving along here. I think I may have to get some more hydrangeas, but I'm just going to keep filling this in, and when I'm done, I'll be back. Okay, hello. So as you can see, we've got the whole perimeter around the center of the circle, and now the fun of filling all around here. But let me move the camera just a little. Here we go. But what's really fun, there's Scarlet Kitty, is you can keep adding the hydrangeas, but you can also add other flowers as well. So maybe you might want to do a couple roses, or maybe a different color hydrangea. So the world is your oyster. So the same thing, just like you did with the top and the center, you're just gonna go in the same direction and just lay these hydrangeas. I like to do the big giant full ones around the center. And what I might do at this point is I bought some floral wire, and this is actually pretty neat. It pulls from the circle, and then you pull out. I've never seen this before. I lead a sheltered life. But you pull this out to the length that you want, and then it has like a little cutter. And what you do is you just snap it. I had a hard time when I did it before. But there, it cuts it. Because I always use scissors, and then I ruin my scissors. So there. Okay, so I am going to keep filling in. I'm actually going to go see if I can find some pretty roses, and I might add those in. All right, we'll be back. Hello, ladies. You going to help me make a wreath today? We're going to do it. Okay, so here we are, the final stage of making the wreath. So we just have to fill in here, and I collected some rose petals. I'm going to dry those off, but there's some pretty roses that I'm going to add in there as well. So I think I'm going to add this pretty pink one. And most of these are, maybe one in the bottom. Oh, look at that one. That'll be pretty in there. I could just find one more good one. That one might work. It's a little over, but we'll try it. I think that's it. Maybe that one. Yeah, I think these are all just going to save the rose petals. Okay. So, just like we did with the outer and the inner part of the wreath, we're going to do the same thing with the center. Now, the one thing that I like to do is I like the big bushy blossoms. Just want to make sure I'm going in the right direction. Yes. And it just bit of dimension to the wreath. So let's cut this off, the stem, and then again paying close attention to get above the stem, that little V-shaped area. There we go. Okay. We had a nice rain last night, and I watched Gardening with Marta today, and she talked about her hydrangeas. These are, it's definitely sun scorched, the brown, but normally when they first bloom, they're a beautiful white, and when they start to turn, they turn this green color, but that's okay. They would go through that if you were just drying them, right? So let me see, where is, I did put, a hook on the back that denotes the top. There it is, okay. It's right there. Okay, so I'll start there. I left my slippers out last night and they got soaked to the gills. Okay guys, I'm in the garden and I just wanted to show you the finished hydrangea wreath. Let's see if I can get this in the frame. It's huge. It's really big. I'll put a better picture once I find a place to hang it. I'm going to fill in a couple little spots, but I think it turned out beautiful. So the first one I did was okay. I put a ribbon on it and I wasn't really sure if I liked the ribbon. I'll put another picture in here right now. But I wasn't really sure if I liked the ribbon or not. But this morning when I got up and looked at it on the back porch, I thought, you know what? I like the ribbon. So I hope you will give it a try. It's not really expensive if you have hydrangeas that are beautifully blooming and you've not done anything with them. Give the wreath a try. and I'm sure you're going to be really happy with it. Like I said, the supplies are simple. Just the straw wreath, which is under $5, and the little floral pins, which I'm sure you can find a use for, or you may even have them floating around your house. And then just some wire just to make a little hanging tab like I did. Just a very simple little tab. So I hope you will join me next time in a few weeks. I try to keep it every 2 weeks, and I hope you'll join me for more crafting ideas. I'm enjoying my garden this year, so I probably will have a few more gardening videos to share with you. So in the meantime, I hope that everyone is well, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new. And thank you all returning viewers. Thank you so much for following along, and I will see you next time for more crafting adventures. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. For those of you who have been following along on my channel, my mom passed away in July, and Samantha and I have been purchasing over the summer all the different varieties of roses. And she had this little spot in front of her house, and she made her grandma a rose garden. So she put all the roses that she had purchased over the summer in the garden, along with some lavender and a few other tiny little beautiful delicate flowers. And she's devoting this little garden to her grandma. And I helped her do some of the digging, but she did most of it, and we got it done in record-breaking time. So I wanted to share this beautiful memory of my mom.